going on, YouTube? It's been a couple days since my last video. Been sick with the flu or something. Feeling alive today though. Got the motor pulled the other day. That's the V6 motor. Transmission. Pulled it out, harness intact. V8 motor. It's all ready to come out. As you can see, I got a couple parts laying in the engine bay here. And I just stripped the entire driver's fender harness back through down in that hole right there. And then through the firewall back into the inside here. I'm going to strip that entire harness out of there, swap out that BCM, strip the harness all the way back to the taillights and the latch on the trunk. And then we're going to swap in this harness. You know, I thought about trying the body harness with the engine harness, and of course the 08 PCM. But the last thing I want to do is spend hours working on something that doesn't work. So, to be safe, I'm just going to swap out the entire harness. No big deal. And what I love about these transmissions is the fact that they're flanged and sealed at the end of the tranny. So when I pull this girl out of here, I don't have to drain the transmission fluid. Because I actually pulled the trans cooler, the line's still connected, and just zip tied it to the top of the motor here when we pulled it out. And that's the exact same thing I did on the V8. This girl's all ready to come out. Now what this means is I'll have the harness swapped over to the red car tomorrow from the GT, and then I can drop the motor in. Once the motor's in, drive shaft, exhaust, dash, carpet, interior, and rear end. I still got to do the 410 gears in that rear end. A bit of a pain in the ass here when I was stripping the harness was getting access to, I don't know if you can see it back there, there's a plug that has to be unhooked from the wiper motor assembly. Goes through that hole there. And that was a complete pain. I actually had to heat this up with a torch, pry it up and give it a smack with a hammer just to get it to come off. Now, as far as I know, the only things we have to swap over for the V8 motor to drop in is these two coolant hoses right here. There's also a power steering cooler on the GT that the 4-liter doesn't have. So the 4.6 has a power steering cooler, which is just a power steering line that goes and makes a loop of itself that sits with the rad. So we got to swap out that line because the rack is still in here. I don't know if you can see it down there. Yeah, you still see the power steering rack. So we swap that line out with the GT line, and then I believe there is a AC line that has to be swapped as well, and it's not this long one that goes along around the core. It's just like the GT is. One thing I'll have to do eventually as well is change out this ABS module, which I'm not in a huge rush to do because the brakes will work with this one in there. And I really am not going to use ABS in the summer, and this thing's not going to get winter driven, so. Now this whole rad cradle's got some corrosion and rust on it for some reason. I'm going to sand all that down and pick up some red paint and get that painted up as well. We're starting to get really close here. I was thinking maybe middle of next week. If I get a hustle. Next weekend for sure. This thing will be driving out of here and we can do a burnout. Alright. That's all we got for you guys today. Make sure you like and subscribe. And if there's anything specific you guys need to see or want to see, let me know in the comments. Thanks.